tell you.
We could do the same for positive.
Yeah.
Who likes each other? Who is complementing each other?
Like supposing negative campaigning leads to all the stability debates in the debates about,
Exactly.
Can be done in India where you have so many alliances.
But it's funny because you could look at alliances in these, Yeah. That's basically this one. So this is the left parties, and this is the right parties. And you see that they're much closer to each other. This is about support and attack networks. They're closer to each other in terms of supporting each other, and then there's attacks between the camps going on. And this is the sitting prime minister, which we
I was just talking to Hajo about our coding. We have coded for all the attacks and support in our code. There's still there is possibility of developing something like that.
Something like that, yeah. It would be fun to do, right?
Yeah, because we have 3 big political parties.
So, relational data, just to give you a sense of what can be done with such type of data.
So, some more examples of this relational.
There are more examples. If you're interested, I can send you some. I'll send you this piece, and you will find references to earlier examples. So I've got 5 minutes now for talking about computer system analysis, which is not going to work. So I find it important. I didn't plan that initially to do. But I think there's so much development in terms of using computers now to do content analysis that I at least wanted to give you a taste of it. And if you say this is something I'm really interested in, the first entry point would be one of the articles I mentioned before. That's where the future is going to some degree, at least, I think. And I'm skipping a lot of things here now. If you're interested, look at them later. Why do we do this? Because it's less costly and less labor intensive, allegedly, to use computers rather than to employ 30 coders to do this. Computers are better and faster in counting, sorting, archiving, and calculating. Yes, they are. Right? And a lot of what we're doing here is counting sometimes. The number of frequencies of certain actors, or the appearance of certain words. Reliability is interesting when it comes to computers because computers don't make mistakes. Computers are by definition perfectly reliable. In every computer, if you give it a program, will do the same thing. For sure. But the problem is, what do we get the computer to look at? Yeah, this I'm skipping. So why shouldn't you do this? Because there's no simple solution at the moment for doing this. There's not the one common program that everyone uses and that can do anything you need to do, from analyzing Facebook and Twitter data to 200-year newspaper archives and things like that. Can be very time-consuming for more complex tasks. Just to give you an idea, we're going to present a paper next week at the Midwest Conference about network complexity and political texts. And we're only using 2,000 articles, but to run the analysis once that we're looking at takes my Mac Pro, this very expensive little machine with a lot of computing power, takes him 1.5 days to do. So just to give you a sense that some of this can get very complex, right? So why not doing it? Could be a reason not to go into this. And the other thing is that computers don't, for a computer meaning is nothing. Computer can't read meaning. So all the computers do is perform the task that you tell them to perform. And if you put garbage into the computer, likelihood is that you get garbage out of the computer. So we're rather talking in human coding about reliability issues, whereas in computer coding we're much more talking about validity issues. Is the thing that the computer measures really the thing that you want it to measure or not? I'll skip over this. I'll come to a few again. You got the slides, so look at them. What we often do is we define dictionaries to look for certain concepts. And I'm sure you all heard about sentiment analysis on Twitter, for instance, and that's regularly being done. Those are based on dictionaries. So smart people came up with collections of words that indicate positiveness or negativeness. And smart people came up with collections of 3,000 words to indicate positive sentiment. Even smarter people come up with collections of, I think the biggest one is a 30,000 word dictionary for positive negative coding in social media contents. You know? So these are dictionaries, these are collections of words that people use to identify certain characteristics. We did this for issues in the Austrian National Election Study. So for 20 issues we devised elaborate search strings, collections of keywords, dictionaries if you want, so that would allow us to identify whether a certain topic was addressed in the text or not. And there's some things to consider when you start doing this. For instance, we know that rarely used words distinguish text better than widely used words. It doesn't make sense to have words like and, or, he, she in a dictionary, because they will appear in any text. Words with correlated meaning are redundant. Synonyms all have to be used. General words to identify particular cases. Again, if you're interested in animals, do you look for the words cats or for the word dog? Depends on what you're interested in, right? Homonyms, different meanings, same spelling, cause potentially use a huge error. The example comes in a second, but one of the first things I did with computers ages ago was looking at German news coverage over a long period of time, and at a certain point the chancellor in Germany was called Kohl. And Kohl is the same word in German as for cabbage. You know? That's a bit difficult if you're interested in actor appearances. So you need to specify more how, or we looked at UK news coverage and Gordon Brown. Brown is a really annoying surname to look for with a computer, because the computer don't know whether it's the color or the person. We looked at party coverage, and Green parties are really annoying because you get a lot of coverage of golf into that. You know, the green in golf. One of the earlier things again is we were looking at EU coverage, and at some point the EU in German was called the Europäische Gemeinschaft, abbreviation EG. EG. And we were wondering about the peaks in the data in wintertime always. And at some point we figured out that there's a German ice hockey club, the Düsseldorfer EG. Same abbreviation, you know? And they've been coming up in the data. So you need to be really careful about constructing these dictionaries and making sure that they validly measure what you want them to measure. Including operators, there's visual thesaurus like this to look at what are interesting synonyms for liking in this case, for instance. And I'm only going to talk about the bag of words approach because that's more. Then your material needs to be machine readable, otherwise you can't have the computer do it. So digital archives, online contents, needs to be SCI coding, something like that at least. I'm not sure about that how that works with different scripts actually. Again, you talk about unitizing, documents, paragraphs, sentences, words. What are you interested in? You need to tell the computer what you should be looking at as a unit of coding again. Pre-processing of text is something we often do, and that's really stop in a second. Because this is something we would probably need 2 hours to do elaborately, but again, I just want you to get a taste of what's happening. So when we've got a text, for instance, we often remove stop words. That's the meaningless words. We don't need those words for getting meaning out of text. We might be finding go words, the important words that we think we need for our analysis, but that's less common actually. That's quite common. We're furthermore continuing removing very common words maybe, or you could also remove very uncommon words. Like you've got 10,000 newspaper articles and you've got one word which only appears once. You know, I don't think it's going to carry a lot of meaning for analyzing the overall thing. What do you do with compound words and hyphenations? You sometimes things are hyphenated, sometimes not. You need to make sure that that's consistent in your entire data set. You can apply stemming. So talking, talk, talker, talks, talkative will all become talk. Because that's the word that you're interested in the end. And for your analysis, it's going to be much easier to have, instead of 5, potentially even more words, to just have the stem of the word. But then sometimes the stemmers are not very good because they tend to remove ads and ings, talks, talking. But if you've got the words red or ring, and those are meaningful for your analysis, you see what happens. So that's difficult issues. I'll say a few words about that. Lemmatizing is often applied, so is, was, will be, am, are, were, being, been will all become be, and that's what you do with different verbs. This is classic pre-processing. Now it sounds very difficult, but there's a lot of programs that will do that all for you. So you click a checkbox that you want to apply the removal of English stop words, and it will do that because it tests word lists for English stop words. There's stemmers and lemmatizers available for many languages. I'm not sure, but for English definitely. I'm not sure about all languages, but they're becoming more available for many languages. Doing this thing automatically for you by just checking the box, basically. So it's less complicated than this. Correct wrong spellings, especially if you do social media stuff. That is so annoying because people will not spell very well and use colloquial language and all that. You need to figure out some way to deal with that.
Short form also. Short form, any word.
Short forms, abbreviations is an issue. We now play with replacing pronouns with proper names, but that's really difficult to do yet. And so on. And then you come up with a term document matrix. Because we now, sorry, I would love to have more time. I can't. So what you usually have then as a database at some point is you've got words. You've got all the words appearing in your corpus of text. That's usually between 20 and 50,000. Depends a little bit on what you do. And you've got the different documents here. So this is article A, article B, article C. So for every word, you know how often it appears in every article. This is called a bag of words approach. You see, there's no relationship between words here anymore. We're not relational data. We're looking at occurrences of words. But that's often doing the trick for many of the things we're interested in. Because the co-occurrence of certain words would tell us more about the meaning of the text. And then it doesn't matter whether they're this way around or this way around in a sentence or here or here. We're doing big data analysis, large sums of data. So on average, that could create a bag of words approach. And I think I need to stop here, otherwise we will not have time for all the rest of the things we do. There is no universal thing to do this. And there's a fragmented field, there's computer linguists working on this, there's informatics people working on this, there's social scientists working on this. And sometimes they come together, sometimes they don't. They speak very different languages and have very different purposes of doing things. Difficult. And there's some text analysis software that's doing the counting for you, for instance. Have a look at text analysis info. It would give you some ideas of what to do. And then I'll just show you one more thing. This example I want to share with you. 2 minutes, 1 minute. For this example, using the question, does media populism increase with closeness of election day? That's my research question. Yeah? Does time explain occurrence of something? The focus on the people of media populism, so I'm interested in, to what degree are the people and the common man and so on and so forth mentioned in media populism. My sample is a German newspaper here, which is archived in LexisNexis, and I'm looking at the election year of 2009, and I'm looking at all political news coverage. And it's basically 5 steps. And I just wanted to show this to you because it shows that this doesn't have to be rocket science. So it's also not something you learn in a half a day. So this is my LexisNexis database. Do you have Indian newspapers in LexisNexis? Do you know?
We have Indian English newspaper, but
Yeah,
not
not
like the
that. Okay.
newspaper here.
Okay. But anyway, so you know LexisNexis. So in LexisNexis for this newspaper for this year, I'm looking for the keywords of the German parties because I'm interested in political news coverage. So you know it makes sense to only take news articles that mention German parties. That's my definition of political news. Then I do a full text download here, which is sometimes very annoying because LexisNexis only gives you 200 or 300 articles at once. So for long search things, this takes a while until you have all the material, unless you've got a smart PhD student who's writing you a little script to make that process a bit faster. And then you've got numerous Word documents which each contain between 200 and 180 articles, let's say. And you need to unitize that. I'm interested in articles here, right? The article level. And so I don't want a Word document with 200 articles in there, but I want for every article a single Word document, for instance, just to make it a bit, clear what we're after. And that's something that DT Search, pre-program, runs on Windows. I'm not quite sure on Mac actually. Pre-program easily does. So DT Search, you upload your files, and you can tell DT Search. So every time, usually there's special characters in these. So every time a special character, like a copyright C would be here somewhere, appears, break up and take a new article. Yeah? And then you can also tell DT Search, and again, this is not very hard. Every time you see here source, enter the information that comes after it into a variable. Anytime you see date, capital spelled with a colon in the end, enter the date into a variable here. So DT Search would actually construct the first type of database for you out of your articles that gives you the newspaper in which the article appeared, the date of publication. It would give you the number of words, which is often given here, and there's maybe other contextual information you can extract. Fairly easy to do with DT Search. And that, now I've got the first database with dates in there, and that allows me to have a first look at my data. Political news coverage across that time period, right? You see it increases towards election day, makes a lot of sense. So that's what I have. Now I'm using, for instance, JFrag. Again, free-to-use program to download from the web. And JFrag now provides this data matrix, this term document matrix. What you can do is, you see, these are all my articles, the 10,000 ones, which I chuck into JFrag here. And then in JFrag I can do some pre-processing. Very nice. So I can exclude numbers because I don't want numbers in my data for some reason. I exclude currencies because I'm not interested in that. I could exclude stop words. And there's a JFrag has inbuilt stop words dictionary. So
Can we use for this Facebook posts?
You can probably use this for Facebook posts if you prepared them in a way that you can enter them here. Every post should be a separate document, for instance, if that's your interest. You can apply stammers, click the German stammer. You could even apply dictionaries at this stage already. To say, only look for these words, if you want to. And then you get an output, a CSV file, a data file, a comma-separated value file, which looks like an Excel file here, yeah? Which you can upload into Excel, into SPSS, into any kind of statistical program you want. Again, this probably takes you 2 days to fiddle around with it a bit and figure it out. But until this step, not even a week of work if you want to try it. And then you've got it into SPSS exported, and then you can do all sorts of things in SPSS. And what I did then, I wanted to look at correspondence of certain words. So I looked for the word people and looked at what other words did frequently co-occur with the word people. Frequently come up in the same text as the word people. And I'm being quick here, and by that, at some point, build a dictionary, which is here visualized in the word cloud. So I used certain words which I then statistically confirmed that they have something to do with the people. And use these to build a dictionary and then apply the dictionary. This is Yoshicoder, another one of those free-to-use instruments. Yoshicoder, again, you can upload your CSV file, the data file, tell Yoshicoder what kind of dictionary to apply, and then it will get some data, and then this is the result. So this is how often references to the people were made in election news coverage. And indeed, if you run a regression analysis now with time as an independent variable and these occurrences as a dependent variable, you would indeed see that it significantly increases towards election day. So there's more populism, more references to the people at election day. I'm really stopping now. I'm so sorry.
What? Please waiting.